I'm Elizabeth. This video is about painting some horses on a background that I already created. Let's paint. Okay, back to my watercolor. So I'm going to do a very dark drawing with some very light highlights. And what I have in mind is the caves in France that have the horses, and there's one famous one with 4 horse heads and fighting rhinoceroses. And I certainly can't pronounce the names of those caves. One starts with an L, one starts with a C. Chavet, maybe? Anyway, the horses that I draw are not like those of ancient times. The ones of ancient times are short legs, fat little horses with fluffy little manes that don't flow. Okay, I'm going to draw my design on the paper with a watercolor pen. Hope you can see it. This is a Staedtler Mars Graphic 3000 Duo, whatever. And this is my favorite, although I have several others. I have Edding and another one made by Schnaud. These are all German. Okay. I have to get in my mind how I want it on the page. Okay, I got it. Maybe. This pen is running out of ink. I'll do it in the other tip. And the other tip's running out too. I have to use a different pen. Okay. These are guidelines. These actual lines will kind of fade into the paint when I paint them. Just right off the edge of the page. The legs just go right off the edge. Except this one here, you will be able to see one front leg. It's not quite right. Okay, we'll just string it up. You'd be seeing the leg of this. That's the leg of this horse. Okay. They all have their ears forward as if they're looking at something or listening to something. Apparently they're looking at something on the ground. We might draw that in later, or not. Now this wasn't the plan for this particular drawing, but I am going to show you something about what these watercolor pens do. And I do this sometimes. I just use water to paint with them. See how the water pulls the paint in the pen away? Just put the water on the inside of the horse. Don't put the water on the outside, otherwise the thing will go fade into the outside instead of just the inside. I need another line here. Okay. After you put the water on, it takes a few minutes to fade as much as it's going to fade. Like it's going to look a little different a minute from now than when I first put the water on. You can see how it faded with the ears. Kind of gives an effect of, charcoal on a cave wall. I wet the whole section where the horse is, just to pull a little bit of that black in, make it kind of a gray. It becomes different from the background here. Now, if I want to add darker to that, I would use watercolor rather than a watercolor pen. For one thing, watercolor pens are expensive. And for another thing, your black will work just as well as using a watercolor pen once everything's wet. It'll kind of blend in. I'm using a lot of water and not very much paint to get that effect. And I like the effect of the background showing through. That's one of my favorite things about watercolor, is they're transparent and you can paint layer upon layer and each layer will enhance the next, because they'll show through. That's a really dark leg. That's okay. I like those legs dark. You can't do this slowly though. If you do it slowly, the paint dries and it doesn't flow. So the solution to that is to just practice. My paper's buckling. No matter. It'll go flat again when it dries. You just spread the paint around and leave the places where you want the colors to show through with less paint on them. A lot of people ask me about these little yellow spots. That was the original color, if you recall, that we painted the background of the first layer that we laid down on the paper was that yellow. And where the toilet paper did not actually touch, tone them down a little bit, where it didn't touch the actual paper, the background color shows through, which was that yellow. And I like it because I like to think of them as chips, you know, off the cave wall. These are ancient paintings, you know, whatever. You lay down some color, you put water on your brush, you pull the color out. There we go. Okay, that's a start. So I'm going to take a break here and figure out what I'm going to do with the other horses and see what it's like when this one dries. Okay, here we are back. The first horse is dried. The paint on that has dried. And I painted in part of the second horse, and it's in an orangish color called burnt sienna. And I just did the same thing that I did on the first horse. Painted around and let the black stuff flow in to the paint. But I have a lot of water and little color on the brush, so it makes it a transparent color. And you can see the background shows through. Makes it kind of cavish. It's difficult to see right now, but once I get the manes and tails on and the decorations, it's going to be pretty contrasty. You need contrasty to make it dramatic, and it'll pop. I'm going to paint the third horse turquoise and the fourth horse black. And this one here, I was actually using sepia on that. It looked like black, but it was sepia, which is fine. We don't care. Okay. Let's see if I have some turquoise here. Not on that palette. Not on that palette. Here's some on the big palette. I'm going to put a few more lines on this horse, the third horse, in black. Oops, there we go. Looks like I've used up most of that brush. It'll work. Again, I'm using a lot of water and a little paint. Just water on the brush. Lightens up as it goes down. You might think I'm not being very careful. Well, I'm not. But it's taken me some time to get up to the point where I can not be careful. And there you go. 4 horses painted in. I have to let those dry before I can do manes and tails, because the first part of manes and tails has to be this horse, and that one's the wettest one on there. Okay, I'll be back.